morning, everyone, and welcome to this glorious God-given day, another day where we are here to be the love of the divine. And thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so happy to be here again with what I'm now calling my CSL Austin family. It's wonderful, wonderful to be here. So the theme this month, or the beginning title, is The Turbulence of Love. However, what showed up through me as a little add-on to that is embracing love's impediments. Embracing love's impediments. So before we start, I always like to have a little giggle, because I don't know about you, but when I am doing my enlightenment practices, sometimes I have a tendency to get extremely serious, and I get to remind myself, yes, there is seriousness in enlightenment. However, spirit is love and gaiety and laughter and humor. So let's start with a little giggle. So there was a boy, Billy was his name, and he had been misbehaving and was sent to his room. So after a while, he emerged from his room and informed his mother that he had thought it over and then had said a prayer. So his mother says, okay, good, fine. She was very pleased. And she said, if you ask for help to not misbehave, spirit will help you. And he said, oh, I didn't ask for help to not misbehave. I asked spirit to help you put up with me in love. Just a little giggle to get us going, to get us on our way. So about love's impediments, embracing love's impediments. What could be some of love's impediments? Because we all know that we are made of love. We are essenced in love. And what I so much appreciate understanding and knowing, which we all do, love always makes the way. Love makes the way when there appears to be no way. Love, 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 love. However, when I was being with this, some of love's impediments, one of the first impediments that showed up for me was fear. False evidence appearing real. Fear. Fear can get a hold of me, us, we, and really, really turn things around to a place that the truth of who and what we are doesn't get an opportunity to show up. So that's, to me, one of the first impediments to love. Another impediment to love. And what is the antidote for fear? What is it that when fear shows up that can allow the fear to dissipate and dissolve into the nothingness from whence it came? Faith. We get to have faith. Faith, 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 faith. Faith in unseen reality, as Neville Goddard says. This is trust. This is faith. Faith in unseen reality. So that's the first impediment to love, possibly. The next one is doubt. Doubt. This morning, when I awakened, I was doubting myself. I was thinking, oh, okay, you get to do what you love to do. You get to share Spirit's word. You get to be a vessel for the divine. And there was a part of me that said, but what if? And I realized, okay, the reason that what if showed up is, what if it's more spectacular than you ever could have imagined, Verona? What if you trust in the divine, in knowing that as I open to be a vessel, that what comes through is what each one of us gets to fill ourselves full with, that makes our heart sing, that transforms us. So for doubt, the antidote to doubt is trust. Trusting that all is in divine right and perfect order, which we all know it is. It's already in divine right and perfect order, even if the human appearances does not make it look that way. And I want to say about fear and doubt before I go on to the next one. In the world we have chosen to live in today, there's plenty of this, isn't there? Fear and doubt, plenty of it rolling around, rumbling around, being there whenever we open up any of our helpful appliances. I don't mean like our microwave or air fryer. I mean our phone, our iPad, our computer. So these two, faith and trust, are two tools that we can use to offset fear and doubt. And then the third one that came up is ignorance. Ignorance. You know, a lot of things are a result of pure ignorance. Ignorance in the dictionary sense, I mean. Not like someone being judgmental, calling someone ignorant, just in the not knowing. And what is actually combats that is divine knowing. Knowing that the divine mind within, through, and as us already knows. The divine mind is already there, already knowing. And what is ours to do? To tap into it with steadfast and committed intuitive listening. So these are some of the love's impediments that showed up for me: fear, doubt, and ignorance. And so then I thought, but wait a minute, what about what love gives us? Love gives us two things, two opportunities. Love gives us freedom, And love gives us resistance. You're probably saying, okay, Rev Verona, what is this about? How do you figure this? So let's get into this. Let's co-create this together. So freedom, what is freedom? Well, one thing, freedom blooms where our heart overcomes its own hesitations. Think about that. Freedom blooms where each of our hearts overcomes its own hesitations. When we allow our heart to soar and blossom and be the truth of what each one of us is, the truth of the divine. So, and some other definitions for freedom is liberty, volition, and the main definition for freedom that's really important, I believe, is volition. We all have volition and we all have dominion. We all have dominion to be freedom. It's a choice. It's all about choosing whether I want to be freedom or not. It's all about choosing whether I would rather not be free and not be the true me. I have a choice. I can be the truth of me, or I can be some unknown me, some facade of me. So that's where freedom comes in. We get to choose. We are all at choice, and we all know, because we are all science of mind experts extraordinaire. We embrace it, embody it, we ooze it, that freedom is ours. Freedom is ours in any moment, in any second, in any time, in any situation, even if that situation does not seem like a loving situation. And the second part of these two things, as far as in what way do we utilize love, the resistance. Now, this may seem strange. However, resistance is our teacher, and then freedom shows up. Freedom is the wisdom it imparts. So resistance shows up to activate the love within us. Resistance shows up so that we get an opportunity to be aware of it, to communicate with it, to love it up, and to send it on its way. And the best way that we can do this is using the juice of love. You know, like the oil that recently I went and had oil changed in my car. The oil, yes, I do still have an old gasoline car, however, it runs. The oil, the love is the oil that juices it up to give us an opportunity to accept resistance, to be a part of resistance, and to let it go. And this wonderful quote that showed up for me as I was being with this week is by Rumi, and it says, "Because of love, I have become a giver of light." Yeah, just breathe that in. Because of love, I have become a giver of light. Each one of us is a giver of light. And so the love that resides within us, and the love that is a part of the turbulence of our lives and the resistance that comes with us, this is the fuel for living our highest and best. It's the currency of our soul. And this love enriches our body temples. You know how when something's going on with your body temple and it may not appear to be what you'd like to go along with your body temple, if you love it up, you give your chance to love your body temple, it opens up an opportunity, or activates a way, or opens up the floodgates for it to heal itself. And it's really true. I have seen this happen in my own body temple in several ways and several times. A little short one is I am over in Steamboat Springs, Colorado. I went to a wedding last evening, and when I got here, I had a little raspiness, little congestion, and I thought, well, this isn't going to do. I'm going to a celebration of love. So I started loving my body up, loving it, loving it, loving it, loving my respiratory system, loving my throat, loving all here in my sinuses. That was the night I got in. The next morning I woke up and it was gone. Gone, 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 gone. Of course, now I hydrated and, I did the things that we know to do. But that's just a short example of how love can affect our body, because we know that love has some scientific effects in our body. Because love brings dopamine, which is the experience of pleasure. And love also can bring oxytocin, which raises our immune function and fosters generosity. And love also can bring serotonin, which contributes to our well-being and happiness. So all these scientific facts let me know that each of us is a place for love, that each of us is being a place for love. That's what we are. And so from the reading by Falling into the Arms of God, I love that, Meditations on Teresa of Avila, what it says is, the arrow of God's love never misses its target. When God's flaming arrow, visualize that. When God's flaming arrow, I love this, is aimed at our heart, let us not try to understand which bow he is using or what types of arrows will affect us in divine ways. Let us allow our souls to be pierced. May we open our hearts freely. So, letting our souls be pierced in the turbulence of love, opening our hearts freely, and in embodying, embracing, and practicing freedom and resistance together. Because there's no duality in spirit. So, you might be thinking, well, freedom and resistance don't fit together, Rev Verona. Yes, they do, because it's all good, it's all God. So, once again, practicing our freedom to be our truth. Freedom is in the surrendering to the truth of the divine. And then the resistance, which is a gift of the activation of the surrender. And like I said before, we get to accept it, we get to love it up, we get to bless it, and we get to gently give it its leave. Freedom and resistance. And as Maya Angelou says, love knows no barriers, leaps fences, jumps hurdles, and penetrates walls. Just think that is availability within, through, and as each one of us. So, an acronym came to me about love, and it is letting our voices emerge. Once again, letting our voices emerge. And these are the voices of the divine. These are the voices of compassion, of truth, of harmony, of peace, of reconciliation. Because the times that we are living in now, we each chose these times. Each one of us, when we decided to incarnate here, said, Spirit, 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 take me, send me, send me, send me. Because each one of us is this is a big word, but each one of us is the savior for our planet. Each one of us is here in our own inimitable, bespoke, and customized way, where we all fit together just like a puzzle to bring the love, the light, the truth of the divine on the planet. We are here at a time of great and magnificent and turbulent, using that turbulence again, transformation. There is a transmutation going on the planet like no other. We all know it. We can feel it in whatever ways we allow it to our lives to know it. It is there, and it's not just things in our everyday life. It is all of that and the more. So if we allow letting our voices emerge, each one of our individualized voices emerge, we change the planet. We allow ourselves to absolutely embrace and enjoy and embody the turbulence of love, because love does not go smoothly. We know that love does not go smoothly. Now, it makes a way where there's no way. It is the immutable, the immortal, the eternal. And sometimes in our human experience, it does not go smoothly, because since we know we are all these divine spiritual beings having a human experience, that love does not always go so smoothly. So I was being with this, letting our voices emerge. And last week, I was very fortunate and blessed to go to my own daughter's wedding. Well, a couple of weeks ago. And at the wedding, one of my siblings came to the wedding, my younger sister. And this younger sibling and I, about maybe 4 years ago, we came back together to being loving sisters. We had not spoken to one another in a decade. And the non-speaking, I wasn't quite clear the reason it showed up, however it showed up. And in that decade, I mean, a decade is a long time not to speak to your baby sister. However, or not have anything to do with her. However, I knew that divine right and perfect order was happening. And so in the last couple of years, probably the last 2 years, yeah, I have been letting my voice emerge in that relationship. And how letting our voices emerge in that relationship, loving it, is telling her, I love you. I appreciate you. I do know that there's some resistance here, but I do know there's also the freedom to love one another past it, through it, over it, and around it, and above it. I also realized that it was our opportunity. And in the past, I would not have spoken the words out loud, audibly, but now I was moved by spirit to speak the words and say, whatever it was that brought us, that separated us, we can let it go. And we can both be in a place of forgiveness about it. And that forgiveness activity where you cut the golden cord that holds you together with the unforgiveness or the person who you feel may have wronged you. I did that activity a lot. And it took a lot of nerve, or it took a lot of bravery. I shared that with her. And this particular sister of mine, is her faith philosophy is not science of mind in particular. And so sharing our sorts of practices with her, like straight up and out front, it was a little different for me. However, I came to know that it really worked. The practice really worked, because at my daughter's wedding, we were, the intimacy and the love that flowed between us, it was a triumph of the divine. The intimacy and the love that was there. I mean, even in little things like, and we can probably all identify with this, when it was time to go down the aisle, just before that, before my time for everyone to sit down for the ceremony to start, my sister came to my room and she said, "I just wanted to tell you I love you. And if there's anything ever in the rest of our lives I can do for you, I know that love can make a way." This was humongous. This was really, really great. And I knew it was because of this acronym, letting our voices emerge. Not only did I let my voice emerge, she let her voice emerge. And we all know, I'm going to say, I know. Once I make a container of love for those in my life, that love that's within and as each one of them, it shows up. It knows itself. It recognizes itself. It connects itself. It magnetizes itself to each other. So I do know that this really, we know TSRW. TSRW, TSRW, this stuff really works. Okay. We know this. We know this. We know this. However, in this instance, allowing freedom and resistance to coexist together, allowing the freedom of choice to show up, and also allowing the resistance to be the gift of activation, to be the gift of the knowing, to be the gift of the love that flows through our lives. It works. And I want to be clear about this. I'm sure you know this. It doesn't just work in my life. Okay. It's not just, oh, okay, Reverend Verona, it works in your life. Sometimes I have people say things to me, and Reverend Rainbow and Reverend Mary and all the Revs here on this, who are on this, in this Zoom room or watching later. I'm sure you agree with me that sometimes people might come and people say to me, well, of course it works for you. You're a Rev. Of course you're doing this, you're doing that. No, 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 no. It's not like that at all for me. I am exactly as each one of us is. I just happen to have that REV in front of me, happen to go to school, get that. However, I'm living a similar life where the lessons of life show up for me, and they show up big, they show up strong, they show up in my face and say, okay, here you go. Here you go, my beloved. Here's another gift for you that's coming wrapped in the sandpaper of life. However, it's a gift of learning. So today, I'd like to ask you or invite you to accept resistance as a gift. Open, and the way we can do this now in this minute, instead of like, oh, what I heard on Sunday was really wonderful. However, come Monday by noon, what do I do with it? And this is one of the ways. Open to one activity of love daily. Even if this means you send love to someone who you heretofore could not stand, or someone who heretofore you have no hope for their behavior, their activity, whatever. It could be anyone on the entire planet. And while opening to the one activity of love, embracing the obstacles, the turbulence of love, in the knowingness that there is no duality in spirit, that it is all good, it is all God. And I want to end us. I have another. Before I end this, I have another Yoruba saying that I just learned at my daughter's wedding a couple of weeks ago, and it is, "Love is like a cough; you cannot hold it back." Isn't that great? Love is like a cough; you cannot hold it back. So, when the fear shows up, let's deluge it with faith. When the doubt shows up, let's coddle it in trust. When the ignorance shows up, let's have the divine knowing. And with that, all is well, all is in divine right and perfect order, and love makes a way. And so it is. Amen. Okay, so let's pray. I am grateful. I am so, 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 so grateful to know that there is one power and one presence. I am so grateful to know that the immutable, the ineffable, the eternal, the immortal God is everywhere present, that there is one life knowing itself in, through, and as each one of us. How wonderful it is to know that this vast entity, this allness and isness of the galaxies, the cosmos, the planets, and so much more, that I call so many names, God, Allah, Buddha, Olodumare, Jehovah Jireh, Yeshua ben Joseph, that it is all one power, one presence, one beingness, one gentleness, one tenderness, one graciousness, and so much more. How grateful I am to recognize and to remember in this knowingness, in this energy, in this vibration of the one, of the divine itself. And so I now joyously speak a word, and I bless every single one of us here in this Zoom room, and everyone who could, in the sound of my voice, I bless us all in love. love that never fails, love that is indomitable, love that makes a way where there's no way, love that gives us the freedom to accept resistance, to know that it is our plan, it is our lesson, it is our divine gift, and to follow it through. How glorious it is to know this, to accept this, declare this, and to absolutely magnetize it to, through, and as each one of us. I also speak the word, and I speak a word of peace on our planet, knowing that the peace that lives and breathes and has its beingness within, through, and as each of our hearts, that peace reverberates out into the world. And that this planet is a place of the purity of peace, despite the human appearances. I accept to know wholeness, wellness, vitality, abundance, prosperity for everyone on the planet, knowing that there is more than enough to share and spare. I declare and know that plenty always precedes need, so all needs are met in time and on time. It may not come when we want it, but it always comes on time. Whew. And I bless this center. I bless the CSL Center of Austin. I bless the vibration of the light and the love of the divine that comes out from this center. I bless everyone who serves in this center. I bless everyone who comes to this center. I just bless it all, knowing that it is the truth, the harmony, the peace, the artistry, the joy, the love, the fortitude, the perseverance, and the absolute givingness and generosity of the divine. I give thanks for all these blessings. I give thanks for this and the more, and I release these words into the law. I leave them in the Christ consciousness of the divine, that place and space of the infinitude of possibilities. I release it. I surrender it. So be it. I let it be. And so it is. Amen. Ashe.